Yo, what is good, people? Welcome back to another episode of the F1 2022 My Team series here on the channel. Today is the second of the triple header. We have 3 races back to back in this little stint in the career mode. First we had Spa, now we have the Netherlands Grand Prix, the Dutch Grand Prix at the Circuit Zandvoort, Max Verstappen's home Grand Prix, of course. And if you haven't seen the last episode in Spa, go and check that one out because that was a sick race. Great wheel-to-wheel action all through it, and we did end with some points, so make sure you check that race out before you watch this one. Get yourself up to date and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Just showing you a few little upgrades we've got going on. We've got a chassis upgrade coming in soon, a front downforce upgrade coming in soon. We're also upgrading our engine facility, which should give us, or the powertrain facility I should say, gives us more resource points every week to help upgrading the car, to go towards that. So that'll be a nice little bonus when that does come in, because we do really need to focus on upgrading this car. You know, I mean, we have some good wheel-to-wheel action, but overall we just can't compete right now. You know, really lacking straight line speed. That's a massive thing for the car, so we should focus on that drag reduction. We do have, though, before our next upgrades come in, like I say, the triple header, we've got Monza next as well. No time for upgrades in between that. The race after that, though, is in Singapore, which is a quite big gap between Monza and Singapore. So we are looking to get some upgrades in, and we're going with downforce upgrades in that time rather than drag reduction, because, you know, street circuit Singapore downforce is key. We're getting into Zandvoort here. This corner, the tricky banked left, be interesting to see the new cars in real life, how they take this corner this year. I think Zandvoort's only been on the calendar for 1 year, hasn't it, real life? Because I'm sure it got added during the COVID year and then got took off. I can't remember, but yeah, it was really interesting because last year's game, it was like the fastest way through that corner was to take a tight line, hug the apex kind of, and take a low line, whereas in real life the cars were running as wide as possible through that corner, taking like the high road kind of thing, going around the outside. So obviously differences in the game in real life, just depending on with it being a simulator, of course. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see in real life once after the winter break. We do have, of course, Spa and then Zandvoort. Be interesting to see how the cars take that line, but currently showing a bit of pace in this circuit. You know, straight line speed isn't really that important here. You've got quite a long straight along the back here, but in terms of like actual lap time, you're not really looking at that straight line speed. It's a very, you know, I don't even know how to describe Zandvoort. It's just corner after corner, very fast flowing circuit, but yeah, it's just, you need to hook these corners up properly. We've just set a lap there which puts us P16, so we lower our ERS deployment to none. As you can see, we're doing a charge lap, trying to charge the battery back up to go on another push lap as we let Valtteri Bottas past us, and Bottas goes wide and then just stops. Yellow flag comes out, and Bottas does not want to go past us. Now this is a massive glitch in the game, and yeah, we finally get Bottas past. Here comes a McLaren. They just stop behind us as well. And yeah, when you try and let cars past you in qualifying, they don't go past you. And it really does me head in, because now we've got to just push. Now we've just got to get on with the lap because we need to build speed up to start our lap. And now Bottas wants to push too. And it's like, Bottas, bro, I've given you the free air in front of us. I have let you overtake us and you didn't want it. So now I'm just going to go and do our lap. We've put the ERS deployment back onto Hotlap. And now look at this, we're down the straight, Bottas with his DRS open, has more straight line speed, down into turn 1, Bottas takes the inside line. It's like we're in a race. This is qualifying, Bottas, bro. We literally gave you the free air in front to go on and get on with your lap. Why did the cars not overtake you when you let them overtake you? I don't understand it. Codemasters EA, this has been this way for years on this game. Why is this never a thing? And then we spin. And then we spin on top of it, because I'm fuming about Bottas. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous, bro. And because of that, we can't improve on our time, which we would have. And we're down into P21. We're going to start this race in P21 because of stupid Valtteri Bottas and this stupid game not letting people overtake. There's more glitches to come in this video as well, so stay tuned for the race. Let's get into it.
Welcome along then to the North Sea coast and to the Zandvoort circuit. We're 25 miles away from Amsterdam for today's Dutch Grand Prix. It's a race the great Jim Clark won on 4 occasions, leading for an astonishing total of 370 laps. Zandvoort circuit then, 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left, with plenty of steep camber and elevation changes to keep our drivers on their toes throughout the 2.6 mile lap. And watch out for cars making use of the DRS zone into turn 1 to attempt an overtake. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Norris, Bottas, Fernando Alonso and Russell. They've taken a grid penalty. Joe, Leclerc, Ocon and Max Verstappen. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Tsunoda, Sainz. They've taken a grid penalty. Alex Albon and Stroll. Ricciardo, Gasly, the owner driver and Kevin Magnussen. Mick Schumacher, Vettel, Ticktum and Nicholas Latifi. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Let's get into this then, people. A lot of grid penalties. We do move up the grid. We're not going to be starting P21, which is very fortunate because it's a hard track to overtake in Zandvoort if you don't have that straight line speed down the back straight with the DRS open, using your battery charge. It's pretty much the only route to overtake on this track is down the main straight into turn one, but it is lights out and away we go. A rapid start for the Mercedes on pole position there, and we get a slow start. You can see the two Sasuke gaming cars right at the back there. Very slow start, a lot of wheel spin. We have to take evasive action through turn one, almost going into the back of Mick Schumacher, that is. I was going to say Magnussen, it's actually Schumacher there. And a very chaotic start to this race. A lot of people going too wide. We're three wide there with Sebastian Vettel and Nicholas Latifi into the bank left. There's a massive lock up there from Pierre Gasly, the car in front, the AlphaTauri. And there is a lot of different tyre strategies going on right now. You can see in the top left, you can see everyone's tyres. We are the only one at the back of the grid using these medium tyres, going with that one-stop strategy. A lot of other people committing to the two-stop with those soft tyres. And here's a replay of last year, what happened through that corner. So yeah, it was lucky we didn't go too wide with anyone through that corner and make contact. If you do remember that, that was with Dan Ticktum, our teammate on F1 2021, who is in fact now our teammate on F1 2022. Luckily though, this time we don't go through that corner together and he doesn't crash into the back of us and take us both out the race. Little throwback to last year's series there. If anyone is new to the channel, you won't know about that, but yeah, Dan Ticktum took us out in this race last year, and it was the race before his contract renewal, so obviously we got rid of him. But speaking of contract renewals, we have to bring in Dan Ticktum, of course, because of Oscar Piastri not renewing his contract because we couldn't afford him. Well, it turns out we couldn't afford him, but Alpine announced him as a driver anyway. But yeah, down into turn one, Pierre Gasly has to take evasive action there. Very lucky on our behalf that Pierre actually moved then, because that was a dive bomb from me. That was about to be contact and both cars would have taken damage, but thankfully Pierre somehow had a sixth sense to just move ever so slightly and let us through. So shout out to Pierre Gasly for that, because that might have been the end of both of our races right there if we did make contact. A bad move from me, but just trying to make up those positions in the early stages of this race. Hard to do when everyone's running the softer compounded tyre, more grip on that tyre of course, but we do need to play the long game still as Pierre Gasly sends one back up the inside, claiming that position back. But like I say, we're playing the long game compared to everyone else. They're going with the two-stop strategy. We are running the one-stop, medium-hard, providing everything goes to plan. But we might have some strategy calls on the whim later on in this race. Stay tuned to find out what does happen and where the title of this video does come from. I think I've got the title of the video in my head anyway. But yeah, massive glitch in this game, which we do need to talk about and we will get to later. Another glitch, even more annoying probably than the qualifying glitch where people won't overtake you. It is probably the same as that, because yeah, the same level of annoyance I should say. End of lap 2, DRS enabled now, as usual. Lance Stroll, 2 cars ahead on medium tyres, massive understeer coming through turn 1 there, and we were really struggling in qualifying and in the race here. You can see we're looking at the MFD and the tyre temperatures, those rear tyres absolutely lighting up, the rear left especially. I was really struggling with, obviously when the rear tyres heat up, they don't grip the tarmac as well and start to slide, and that's when the back end steps out and you get oversteer and you have to correct it, and then that costs you lap time. But yeah, that rear left tyre especially just absolutely on fire, and the front started to get a bit hot as well, so that's where the understeer came from. Obviously when the front tyres get hot, they don't grip the tarmac, and when you turn the wheel, the front tyres don't grip, as you can see here, and we just carry on going. But yeah, so very tricky. This happened a few races ago. I can't remember what circuit it was, but we were complaining about our rear tyres overheating, and I can't remember which circuit it was, but it was only like 2 or 3 races ago. And yeah, I don't know, I need to practice or learn how to keep your tyre temps down, because honestly I genuinely don't know. It was in France actually, I remember, because we were talking about the wet tyres, but yeah, I don't know how to keep tyre temperatures down, I'll be real. So just driving this race, struggling for grip, down the main straight now. Sebastian Vettel has got his DRS wing open, and down into turn 1 we're going to take the inside line and try and push Sebastian Vettel wide as we can on the exit there, and we manage to compromise his line on the exit, and get a better, you know, exit out of turn 1, and we're still in P18. We're not really fighting for anything right now. Pierre Gasly put in a significant gap in front there, 2.6 seconds, but like I say, we're playing the long game. Got to pit twice in this race using those soft tyres. Coming through this right-hander again, such a tricky corner for me on this track. I was losing so much time every lap through that corner alone. Just didn't know how to approach it every lap, but it is what it is. Now we're just trying to put in those lap times again. Tyre temps again, look at that rear left, it's now flashing yellow in the MFD, because we've put that much heat into it, and obviously, like I've mentioned already, you start to slide, you start getting oversteer. When you start sliding, it puts even more temperature into the tyres, and yeah, it's a bad recipe, because then you're just losing lap time every lap. And as you can see, the gap to the cars in front now 3 seconds, no DRS for us on anyone, but yeah, it is what it is. Sebastian Vettel still not able to get past us as we enter another DRS zone here, which is pretty pointless if you ask me, because nobody really makes overtakes here. He says as he gets overtaken by Sebastian Vettel, but heavy braking zone into the chicane. Vettel cuts the whole curb there. That's going to unsettle the car a lot, and cost him some performance if he takes any damage to the under tray of the car. You do not want to take damage to the floor of an F1 2022 car. Speaking of damage, massive oversteer for us, we catch, but safety car deployed. George Russell out of the session. What has happened to George Russell here coming through the final turn? He's corrects some oversteer there and puts it straight into the wall. George Russell out of this session in the Mercedes car. You hate to see it, and there's a big shunt from behind. Let's check out who that was, but coming through here, you see George just corrects that oversteer and puts it straight into the wall and just scrapes his car all the way along there as everyone tries to pass him on the way. But here comes an Aston Martin straight into the back of George Russell. It's going to be Lance Stroll, and I don't know what he's thinking there. Just goes straight into the back of him. What the hell is Lance thinking? But here we go. We're coming past now. Pierre Gasly also stuck behind Lance Stroll there, and we actually overtake Gasly. But he didn't take any damage. Let's see, Pierre Gasly's on board. Stroll, obviously, it's straight into the back of Russell, and then Gasly has to stop on track because he can't get around them. So we overtake Gasly, even though the safety car's out and you're not allowed to overtake, but we have to because he stopped on track. And here is where the glitch will come in a moment. There is a massive glitch with the safety car in this game. Now, obviously, we've got to stick to a delta pace and whatever, and you know how safety cars work. Yeah, I'm sure you know how safety car works. You've got to go slower, stick to a delta pace. But here we go. So we go over the delta pace and we've got to reduce our speed to match it, and then we do that, and then we come through the final corner, and then look in the top right, the delta is now showing -4 seconds, -4.6, -5 seconds, even though it's still saying don't exceed the delta pace, but it doesn't have the timer to say that I'm going too fast. And what you can't see on this screen, by the way, that safety car message at the top did not look like that on the screen when I was playing. Here's a picture of what it looked like on my screen. It looked like there was 3 of them all overlapping each other of the same message, and they were flashing rapidly. Now, I tried to send a video to my mates who played this game of the flashing, but it was flashing so quick, the camera shutter on my phone wouldn't pick it up. And then I looked at the game recorder and it looks fine. And now look at the gap between us and the main pack. That number 2 there on the left, that's the safety car, that yellow dot approaching that number 2. We're stuck behind this pack. And because the deltas broke, everyone's going super slow and sticking to a ridiculous delta time instead of catching the safety car queue. The safety cars are designed to bunch the pack up, not separate it even further, which is what the safety car did in this race. Because look, and then I decide, can I just overtake everyone? Let's just see what that happens. And it's like, no, 2 illegal overtakes. Then we have to slow down, let Magnussen back past. And look at Mick Schumacher. He's trying to get us a penalty here. Doesn't want to overtake. There he goes. Overtakes us. Finally. But yeah, my head was gone because this message at the top is flashing like crazy, like rapidly flashing, as if there's 3 messages at the same time, all flashing. On the game capture card, on this video right now, you won't know what I'm talking about. It looks completely fine. I don't understand it. Even when I filmed it on my phone, the camera shutter didn't even pick up how fast it was flashing, and it just looked like one constant like message. But yeah, crazy glitch. Safety car in this lap, and just look how far away we are from the rest of the pack. They've already entered turn 1. We haven't even finished the last turn yet. Like, absolutely crazy glitch, ridiculous glitch. Probably cost us a few places here, because obviously on a safety car restart I like to dive up the inside into turn 1. These guys in front on the soft tyres, the soft tyre strategy said pit on lap 9. It's now lap 11, so these guys are going to be really struggling for grip on these soft tyres. They're going to be really burned out, really old and worn tyres. They need to come into the pits very soon, and when will that be? Who knows? But that could have been a lot of places gained for us if anyone in the top 12 above Magnussen, if they're on soft tyres too and need to come into the pits, they've now got a massive gap on us anyway because of the safety car. So yeah, it's just a ridiculous glitch. How is this game so bugged? Is the F1 games normally like this? I swear last year I got it on release day. I don't feel like there was that many glitches. This year there's been so many glitches. The engine wear, the safety cars, even people not overtaking in quali. But here we go, a lot of people into the pits on those soft tyres. Like I do mention, perfect timing for George Russell to crash out of the race really, because then everyone stayed out. It was too early to come in for a second set of softs. But then now it's too late kind of thing, you know what I mean? So it was a perfect time and really worked in our favour. Now we're actually up into the points, P9 out of P20, obviously because we've had, why did I say out of 20? Have we had 2 retirements this race? Did we? I don't know. I'm confused because there's normally 22 cars. Did we have 2 retirements? Oh yes, of course, Lance Stroll went into the back of George Russell. But we are 11 seconds ahead of Zhou Guanyu, which has now been cut to 7 seconds. Now there's only 19 cars left in the race because Alex Albon had engine failure. Nothing really to see there. It was just normal engine failure. He pulled off the track and got out the way, but he was behind us anyway, so we don't gain any places off that. Carlos Sainz, the man in front, in that quick Ferrari car, he's in P8. Obviously must have took a grid penalty on the starting grid or something, but here we go, into the pit. Zhou Guanyu comes into the pits behind us as well. This is his second pit stop of the race for Zhou Guanyu, I do think. And we come in, perfect turn in, 2.5 seconds on, or 2.4 seconds on the pit stop, and then we get held, and Zhou overtakes us in the pit lane. What the hell have the Alfa Romeo mechanics had for breakfast, bro? That must have been the world's quickest pit stop of all time in history, because he was a second behind us coming into the pits. So his pit stop, judging by my logic, he was a second behind us when we pulled into the pits. His pit stop must have been 1.3 seconds for him to come out ahead of us. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? That is crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. And now we're on the hard tyres, and you know, if you've watched this series so far or you played this game, how hard the hard tyres are to actually warm up. This initial first outlap, ridiculously slow, understeering through every corner, and yeah, it just wasn't a good recipe when you go onto hard tyres and trying to heat them up. And because now Zhou is already 3 seconds ahead in like 1 or 2 laps. That is crazy. Zhou Guanyu, I don't know what he had for breakfast, like I say, or the Alfa Romeo mechanics, but Zhou was absolutely rapid in this race, and so were his mechanics. So yeah, you hate to see it, but it is what it is. You know, Alfa Romeo, I think on our game is currently the 3rd best car. I think 4th. It goes Ferrari, Red Bull, Merc, and then Alfa. So obviously can't complain about a car being faster than yours when we are literally the worst car on the grid. And speaking of being the worst car on the grid, Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon have now caught up to us into a DRS zone. We're using a bit of battery to try and defend into the chicane here. Ocon looking to send one on Pierre Gasly. I think he might have tapped the back of our car there. Gasly comes ahead. There's also a Haas in the back there behind Ocon. Big battle going on behind us as we're struggling on these hard tyres. Just really not a fan of hard tyres, but the one-stop strategy does work in our favour because we are, of course, sat in P11. All we need now is a bit of a miracle, because obviously Zhou in the points ahead is 9 seconds ahead. We need a bit of a miracle, and we could be into the points here. And there's contact from behind again. Pierre Gasly down into turn 1, making contact. We need to get a replay of that. What was Pierre Gasly thinking? Definitely was not alongside us into that corner. We definitely had the right to take that corner. Here we go into the braking zone. Pierre Gasly sends one up the inside. What was he thinking? I don't know if he locked up the rears or something there. Looks very bizarre. It looked like he went on the brakes and then came off the brakes to go into the side of us. But yeah, at this point in the race, another glitch. We do ask our engineer for some information on the driver in front. And look at this, read the subtitles there. I asked for his lap time and it says value 1, value 2, value 3. And then from that point forward in the race, I couldn't speak to the engineer. So when I wanted to ask about weather, tyre temp, I couldn't speak to him. And now there's a yellow flag behind us. We can keep racing because it's green in front. But another safety car has been deployed. Here's Mick Schumacher coming towards the bank left-hander, and he's spun and put it in the wall. But he luckily got into reverse straight away. But that's his whole front wing sat at the side of the track there. Definitely warranted of a full safety car to get rid of that, because that was a dangerous moment. I'm sure somebody did this in real life. Was it Carlos Sainz, I want to say, last year? Did this at that exact moment? Or was it Leclerc? I feel like it might have been Leclerc. I don't know. Maybe one of the Ferraris. But yeah, so another safety car comes out. And guess what? It's glitched again. This time, though, we are the front of our pack, if you want to call it that. So we can try and catch up. And yeah, so we're going ahead now. 1 second. Okay, yeah, I don't know what's happened there, so I just got a notification on my phone. Anyway, back to the safety car situation right now. You can see we can go as fast as we want behind the safety car and not get penalised for it or anything like that. So we are literally just flying as quick as we can. But then we catch up to Zhou Guan Yu. And look where Zhou is. Look at the map in the bottom left. We have Zhou, and then there's an AlphaTauri in front. And then again, we are just completely miles away from the main pack. And it's like, we have a really good shot of getting points in this race here if the pack was bunched up. We're obviously on these hard tyres, but still, like, if the pack was bunched up, bro, this is genuinely ridiculous. Codemasters, EA, you are costing us valuable points in this career mode, because now, prepare to resume racing again, and again, the main pack down into turn 1, we haven't even came around the second to last corner yet. Like, are you kidding me? But at least we have 2 guys in front in the point spot. Can we take Zhou Guan Yu down the straight now, getting his slipstream, opening or using that ERS, the battery charge, down into turn 1. Zhou at crazy straight line speed just manages to cover it off completely, even though he was using everything at our disposal there to try and take him into turn 1. And again, just pushing, because now he's going to catch up to Sonoda. There's going to be a bit of a battle between Yuki and Zhou, and then those two are going to cost each other lap time. Hopefully they can end up going too wide through one of the corners somewhere, and then we can just take advantage of that, and through goes Hamilton, if you will. But we do need to catch up to be able to capitalise on a mistake like that. Speaking of like the glitch as well, going back to that, the gap to Ocon behind now is like 15 seconds. Like, Ocon should not be 15 seconds behind. It's good for us because they're like a whole pit stop behind. At one point, behind the safety car, I was 24 seconds ahead of Ocon, and I was thinking, do we just go for another pit stop, throw some soft tyres on till the end? But nah, we would have been too far behind the cars in front for the restart, I do think, if we did that. But yeah, it was definitely something that crossed my mind. But sticking with the one-stop strategy seeming to be the best idea for us, and with concerned about the AlphaTauri and the Alfa Romeo in front of us, and we see a little man by the name of Charles Leclerc pop up in the top left there with a purple box around him, meaning he's got the fastest lap of the race. I didn't even realise Leclerc was behind us, but Leclerc somehow, some way, is behind us, and he's popped up in the top left, so he's looking to try and chase us down. Can we keep Leclerc behind? We get to the final lap of the race, and we can. Leclerc, though, is 1.2 seconds behind us, and we outbrake ourselves into the chicane, get on the curb, into the gravel lane, unsettling the car. Leclerc right on our tail. There's only 2 turns left, though. If we can keep it on the track, keep it neat and tidy, then we will finish this race ahead of Leclerc, but he did pull back into DRS range. One more lap and Leclerc would have overtaken us there, so I am grateful to see that checkered flag, but at the same time, a bit ungrateful to see it. We finish the race in P11, just outside the points. A solid result, a solid finish, a solid place considering where we started too. Driver of the day to Carlos Sainz. I think it should have been me personally. We came up from what, P17 to P11. That's a good race, but still, yeah, it cost us points, bro. P11, one place off the points. We could have been at least P8, I'd say, max, or maybe a bit. That's a bit generous, but P8 was definitely doable. I think it's a hard track to overtake. If we just got in front of the cars, I could have defended for the rest of the race and got P8 again, and it would have been back-to-back points. I don't think we've had back-to-back points yet. on this career mode. That'll be a hell of a day when we get back-to-back points. Weird podium too. We've got Checo in the top spot, Lando Norris in P2, and Lewis Hamilton on P3. I don't think we've seen that combination in this career mode before. It's refreshing to see, you know, a podium without Charles Leclerc in that top spot. He's won every single race apart from 4 this career mode, which is ridiculous. Again, another just glitch in the game. I would call it a glitch, because Leclerc is not that good. He should not be winning every single race. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, finishing P11, it's a shame. Carlos Sainz came up from P12 to P5 and got driver of the day. Like, okay, I guess, but Dan Ticktum up from P21 to P17. Dan Ticktum stinks, by the way. He only makes places when people DNF. Hate that guy. Can't wait to get rid of him for next season. Who should we get for next season? It's time to start thinking about saving money, even though it's not, because we're only halfway through the season. But we do need to consider saving money to try and buy a teammate. Do we just get Piastri back? Or is he going to Alpine? Or is he going to McLaren? Who knows what's happened with Oscar Piastri. But yeah, I'm checking out the pit stops here, because Leclerc actually ran a 3-stop, I think it said. He pit on lap 1 for a new front wing. Then on lap 6, which is when the safety car came out, for new soft tyres. And then again towards the end of the race for mediums. Ferrari strategy letting Leclerc down. Who would have thought it? This game is glitched and bugged, but it is realistic sometimes. And yeah, checking out the constructor standings, no changes there, because Aston Martin absolutely reek. So they haven't managed to overtake us yet. Zhou Guanyu though getting some points. I think that's his first point of the season. No, it's not. That was his second point of the season. I don't even know. I don't even care, to be honest. We're still ahead of him in the standings, because we are the champ. We're getting some new upgrades here. I was going to get drag reduction, but then, like I mentioned before, I noticed it was Singapore next, and this upgrade would come in before it. So we go with a downforce upgrade to try and maximize our speed on the street circuit in Singapore. Next up though, the actual race that we do have next is Monza, Italian Grand Prix, home of the Scuderia Ferrari. So let's get into this one, see where we can finish in that race. Our points on the cards again, who knows? We've had a lot of success in the past at Monza. Hopefully we can on Friday's episode. I will catch us then, boys. Like, comment, share and subscribe, you know the vibes. I will see you next time. Take it easy.